Few y'all better hold on to your wigs and waist trainers because Love and Hip Hop Atlanta just detonated a whole emotional bomb and the internet chilly. It's officially in shambles. What happens when your man fumbles the bag, slides into the wrong stays silent while the streets scream, and then expects you to mop up the mess like a glorified PR intern? Well, Yandy said, not today, Satan. Now, tell me, how many times does a woman have to drag her man out of the fire he started before she finally explodes, and not just explodes? We're talking about a Category 5 Hurricane Yandy-style detonation, with receipts, emotion, and a whole lot of boy-bye energy. Mendeecees thought he could pull a Casper and ghost the drama, but nah baby, this ain't no haunted house. This is love and hip-hop, and every secret eventually gets exposed. So, buckle up fam, because Yandy just dragged the skeletons out the closet, gave him microphones, and let them host the reunion. This ain't just reality TV anymore. It's a public crisis, and best believe, we got the tea, the lies, and the screenshots to prove it. Let's break this messy masterpiece all the way down, y'all. What happens when the woman who's been ride or die for years, through courtrooms, prison visits, raising the kids, holding down the family name reaches her breaking point? Because last night, Yandy Smith Harris didn't just speak, she erupted. And guess who was on the receiving end of that explosion? Her husband, Mendeecees. This wasn't no cute couple argument for the cameras. This was the kind of conversation that shifts the foundation of a marriage. A reckoning years in the making, and the trigger, a voice message, a DM, a woman, and the deafening silence from Mendeecees, while the streets, the blogs, and everybody, in their mama's basement had something to say. Yandy sat there, eyes full of fire, voice shaking, but not because she was weak. Because she was tired. Please don't ever repeat that, she said. You can't say people created a story. It's your voice, talking to somebody reckless that you don't even know. Let's rewind for the people in the backseat. The drama started when a woman came forward with receipts, DMs, alleged voice messages, and even claims of meeting up with Mendeecees in private locations. And whether the claims were true or not, one thing was clear. The optics were messy as hell. Now, in the world of love and hip-hop, the streets never stay quiet. And Yandy, she's been seeing it all. Every blog, every comment, every nasty about her marriage and her man silent. Not a post, not a video, not even a y'all crazy tweet. So when Mendeecees finally pulled up for a face-to-face conversation, Yandy didn't hold back. She was done babysitting his brand, done being the fixer, the filter, the family spokesperson. I don't understand why I'm always the family crisis PR team, she said, eyes locked on him like a laser. I don't have the mental capacity right now. And we felt that chilly because let's be honest. How many women are out here cleaning up messes they didn't make just to keep their household from falling apart? Yandy has been the glue. But even glue dries out when the pressure gets too much. Mendeecees in his defense tried to downplay it. He said 90% of what the woman was claiming wasn't true. That all he did was open a DM. That people just ran with it and turned it into a story. But Yandy wasn't having it. You don't even know them, she shouted. You don't even know if they're a woman. You don't even know their background. It's reckless. And she was right, because in this day and age, even opening a DM can open the floodgates of drama, especially when you're a public figure. Especially when you're married. Especially when the person on the other end of that DM has receipts and a motive. And the worst part, the silence. Because Mendeecees didn't just open the DM. He left Yandy to fight the entire internet by herself. While he stayed quiet like it wasn't his circus and Yandy, she was left holding the bag again. I don't owe nobody nothing either, Mendeecees said, but we are public and the public is involved. So not saying anything and continuing to move on like status quo looks crazy to me. Yandy begged him to speak up, not for the internet but for her, for the kids, for their family. And the moment that hit hardest, say something just once and for all. Step up, stand out, and say something on behalf of your family. Phew. That line right there. That wasn't just a request. That was a plea. A last chance before the thread finally snapped. Because what Yandy needed in that moment wasn't a man who stays silent to avoid drama. She needed a man who stands loud for the people he loves. Let's be real, this isn't about cheating. This is about responsibility, accountability, the weight of silence when you're supposed to be someone's protector. And right when it seemed like things couldn't get any more emotional, Mendeecees responded with, I can't sit here and try to explain myself to people that I do not know or give to about I can't. Boom, there it is, the disconnect. Because while Mendeecees thinks he's protecting his peace, what he's really doing is leaving his wife exposed, vulnerable, alone. And fam, that's where this conversation reached its most raw, unfiltered moment. Yandy's heart wasn't just broken, it was bruised from carrying both the truth and the image. Now, we know Yandy Smith ain't no weak woman. She's been through it all. Public scrutiny, family issues, business challenges, even standing by during Mendeecees' incarceration. But this was the moment she finally said, I'm not your PR team, not your fixer, not your cleaner, not your shield. From the backlash and the energy shifted. This wasn't a wife begging her man to love her. This was a queen demanding her king protect the castle, because let's not get it twisted. Yandy still wants this marriage, but not at the cost of her sanity. She's tired, and who can blame her? Imagine being loyal to a man who's silent while you drown in public shame, while people accuse you of being naive, dumb, or blind, while the world laughs and he says nothing. This is deeper than drama. This is about dignity. And Mendeecees, he's got a choice to make. Step up or get stepped over. And just when Yandy thought the confrontation would bring clarity, this video begins right where we left off with silent. That's all that lingered after Yandy dropped the bomb. I'm not your PR team. It echoed like thunder in a room already cracking from pressure. And Mendeecees, he didn't say much. He sat there soaking in the weight of it, but soaking it in ain't the same as stepping up. And Yandy knew that because, in her eyes, every second of silence wasn't peace, it was betrayal. Let's not forget this. Ain't just about a DM. This is about the years Yandy spent defending him. She put her reputation, brand, and emotional health on the line, fighting the world, while Mendeecees did time, stood trial, and fought to redeem his own name. And now, with just one DM and a few audio clips, the streets flip the narrative. And the man who promised to have her back, gone mute. It's reckless. She told him again. You don't even know who they are, what they want. And now I got to face all this heat again alone. Mendeecees, still calm, tried to reason it out. But you know, I didn't meet up with nobody. I didn't do anything. But this ain't about whether he physically cheated. It's about emotional accountability. And fam, we know the internet doesn't care about facts. They care about optics. And right now, the optics are ugly. So, when Yandy said, now I have to deal with this publicly, it wasn't just frustration. It was exhaustion. Because in the court of public opinion, the woman always ends up answering for the man's silence. Yandy, she was done answering for him. Let's break this down real quick. What Mendeecees doesn't seem to fully grasp is this. Perception matters, especially when you're in the public eye. Especially when your marriage has already been through the ringer. Yandy ain't just fighting trolls online. She's fighting to protect a legacy, a family, a name. And when she says something needs to be said or done to quiet the noise, she's not just asking for damage control, she's begging her man to show up. Not as a celebrity, not as a businessman, but as a husband. Speak up for your family, she said, looking him dead in the eye. But Mendeecees, still not fully getting it, he shrugged. I don't owe nobody, nothing. And that right there, that's where it all clicked for Yandy. Because while she's out here treating this like a united front, he's treating it like an individual choice. It's giving. I'm married, but I'm still moving like I'm solo. And Yandy, for the first time, said what she probably never wanted to say out loud. You don't get to choose silence when we're both under fire. You don't get to sit this one out when I'm the one getting dragged. The truth is, Yandy didn't come to this conversation to hear apologies. She came looking for accountability, and she wasn't asking for a fake Instagram post or a staged couple photo. She wanted words with weight. She wanted to hear him say, I messed up. You're not alone. I got us. Instead, she got excuses. I didn't do anything serious, fam. How many women out there know that phrase all too well? Like, when did the bar get so low that I didn't cheat became enough? What happened to protecting your partner's peace before anything else? Yandy kept it all the way real. Every time something like this happens, I have to explain. I have to cry. I have to answer. And you get to move on like nothing happened. The power in her voice. That wasn't just sadness. That was decades of loyalty being tested. Let's keep it a book. This ain't just about this one incident. This was a culmination of every time Yandy had to defend Mendeecees without the same energy being returned. Every time she stood 10 toes down and he stayed silent. And for what? To protect his peace. Nah, that peace comes at her expense. And when Mendeecees said again, I just don't think I need to explain myself to people I don't care about. You could see Yandy's heart sink because it wasn't about the people, it was about her. I'm not asking you to prove anything to the blogs, she said. I'm asking you to stand up for me. For us. And fam, this is where so many relationships crumble, not from infidelity, but from emotional abandonment. Because if the world is coming at your partner and you stay silent, that ain't peace. That's neglect. And Yandy tears, they weren't from weakness, they were from being strong for too damn long. But here's the thing about Yandy, she might cry, but she don't fold. She reminded him, and us all, that being public figures means playing by different rules. You can't just say it's private when your life's been broadcast on national TV for 13 seasons. You can't say I owe no one anything when your wife is being publicly humiliated because of your decisions. Do when she looked him in the face and said, say something. Just once and for all. Step up and say something for your family. That wasn't a suggestion. That was a challenge. A line drawn in the sand. Because Yandy ain't going to keep holding up a house that's crumbling from the inside. She needs a partner, not a liability. And here's what's wild, fam. While the blogs keep speculating, while the fans keep picking sides, the real story is this. A woman who has spent her life building her man up, now wondering if he'll finally show up when it matters most. Yandy patience is wearing thin. Her voice is cracking, and her heart, it's been bruised, not by betrayal, but by silence. And just when we thought she'd let it go, she hit him with one final truth. If you can't protect me with your words, at least stop hurting me with your silence. Boom. Right there. That's where the moment split, because the man who said I do might have just shown her that he won't. And that leads us straight into part 3, where the emotional tension turns into a defining moment. Does Mendeecees finally step up, or does Yandy walk away? Stay locked in. And that's when the entire room went silent. Yandy's eyes were still locked on Mendeecees, not blinking, not softening. Her voice had calmed down, but now it was laced with that low, dangerous truth that cuts deeper than shouting ever could. She said, you got people thinking I'm some controlling wife who drags her husband around like a child. Nah, you a grown man, but you acting like a boy who can't speak up when it matters. Mendeecees tried to interject, mumbled something about not wanting to make things worse, but Yandy wasn't letting that slide. Worse, she scoffed. What's worse than having my name dragged through every blog? My character questioned. My motherhood doubted, and you sitting there on mute like it don't concern you. You think silence protects us. It protects you, not me. Producers behind the scenes were shook. This wasn't some fake storyline drama. This was real-life emotion that couldn't be faked. Everyone watching could feel it. Yandy wasn't fighting just for the camera. She was fighting to be seen, to be heard, to be validated. She brought up every single time she stood 10 toes down for him. From courtrooms to prison visits to social media backlash. I've been ride or die for you. Through your sentence, through your release, through your family issues, through the business mess, you name it. But now, when it's your turn to speak up and ride for me, you get quiet. The hurt in her voice made it clear this wasn't about clout or reality TV drama. This was about a woman who had sacrificed her peace and reputation for a man who couldn't even say she didn't deserve that. Mendeecees finally looked down, fiddling with his chain. He didn't have anything to say because the truth was loud enough. That's when Yandy hit him with the line that's still echoing through every Twitter thread and YouTube comments section. I'm not your PR team. I'm your wife if you still even see me that way. And baby. Those words hit like a sledgehammer. You could almost hear a pin drop. The emotional weight of that moment crushed every fake narrative anyone had ever written about her. Because despite what people say online, this wasn't about some clout-chasing power couple. This was about two people at a breaking point. One carrying the weight, the other dodging accountability. But just when you thought it couldn't get any deeper, Yandy started getting emotional. Her voice cracked. Do you know what it feels like to be humiliated and still protect the person hurting you? She asked. I sit in front of cameras defending you. I teach our kids how to honor you. I smile in interviews so you don't look bad. And all I ever wanted was for you to say that's my wife. Respect her. But you couldn't even do that. Mendeecees finally responded, but it was too little too late. I just didn't want to make the drama worse, he said again. Almost like he was convincing himself. But Yandy wasn't having it. You think silence is peace, but sometimes silence is betrayal. She shot back. You left me to fight battles that weren't even mine alone, and when people attacked me, you let them." The reality of her words hit the viewers hard. It wasn't just about gossip or cheating rumors. It was about a deeper kind of abandonment. The kind that doesn't come with raised voices or slammed doors, but with silence when it matters most. The energy shifted again when she talked about their children. "What are we teaching our sons if their father stays quiet when their mother is disrespected?" She asked. "What are we teaching our daughter if a man's silence is normal in the face of public shame?" Mendeecees started to look uncomfortable. But it wasn't the type of discomfort you feel from being attacked. It was the kind you feel when you finally realize you were wrong. Genuinely deeply wrong. Yandy wiped her face. She wasn't crying for sympathy. She was crying because she had finally said everything she held inside. "You want peace in the house, then you need to protect this house, and that means protecting me." The last few seconds of the scene were brutal in their honesty. No yelling, no screaming, just Yandy walking away with her head held high, saying, "I've done my part. I just hope one day you realize that silence can be louder than words. And I hope you start using your voice not just to defend yourself, but to defend the woman who's been defending you for years." And Mendeecees, he just sat there quiet thinking, probably realizing this wasn't a storyline that could be edited to make him look better. This was real life, and real life don't come with retakes. Social media immediately exploded. Fans on both sides had opinions. Some said Yandy had every right to call him out. Others tried to defend Mendy's silence. But one thing everyone agreed on that moment was powerful. And it shook the entire Love and Hip Hop franchise to its core. Even cast members were deeming producers, asking if what they just watched was real. And guess what? It was 100% unfiltered, unrehearsed, and unforgettable. In the days that followed, blogs ran wild with speculation. Some said Yandy and Mendeecees were heading for divorce. Others said this was the breakthrough their relationship needed, but the truth, only Yandy and Mendeecees know what happens behind closed doors. What we do know is this. Yandy proved once again why she's not just a reality star. She's a woman of strength, integrity, and truth. And she reminded everyone watching that standing up for yourself, especially when it's hardest, is never something to be ashamed of. As for Mendeecees, maybe this is the wake-up call he needed. Maybe now he'll realize that love isn't just about staying loyal in private. It's about speaking up in public, too. Especially when the woman who held you down is the one being dragged through the mud. Here's the question we're all left with. Will Mendy step up now that the truth's out there? Or will Yandy finally walk away from a man who only finds his voice when it's too late? One thing's for sure, this ain't the end of the story. It might just be the beginning. And that's a wrap, y'all. This was the full, messy, emotional, and explosive breakdown of Yandy and Mendeecees that didn't just shake up Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, it split the internet in half. Now, the real question is, whose side are you on? Was Yandy completely right to go off